Hello YouTube, my name is Trilby, and we need to talk. Now those of you who have been following me for a long time, probably for years, will know that I've had a lot of problems with YouTube's copyright system in the past. Frequently, I've had videos taken down, I've had videos content ID'd so I make no money off them, despite them getting hundreds and thousands of views, which has really pissed me off. But this has all really come to a head very recently. I've been away for 2 days, it's the reason why there's been no audio review of The Big Short, why there's going to be no edited video this weekend, even though I'm planning on making them weekly weekend things. But I got called to Cumbria by the BBC in order to help them out do some filming. Tuesday evening, watched the one show. You may even see me on camera. I may even actually slip in there, but you should see my name in the credits, hopefully. I'm looking forward to seeing how it all turns out. But that's why I've not been able to properly respond to everything that's been going on over the past few days. This was really spurred on by I Hate Everything, who is a awesome YouTuber. He's British, so I automatically respect him. But he got kicked off of YouTube for a short amount of time because of a really stupid video where he destroyed a bunch of DVDs, the Little Panda Fighter DVDs or something, and he destroyed a load of those, and that video got some sort of policy strike, or I can't remember what it was, but essentially it got taken down, which took down his entire YouTube channel. This guy does movie reviews, or he deliberately searches out for the worst movies on IMDb and takes a look at them, and it's really funny series. The guy does great content, but he got deleted off of YouTube, and he made a big stink about it. He made people aware of the fact that this was happening, and he eventually got his channel back. But this is not an isolated incident. This has been happening quite a bit recently. The Nostalgia Critic, Channel Awesome, their YouTube channel got affected by one copyright strike, so they lost monetization for all of their videos. And they're a big company. They have people to employ, they have mouths to feed, they have a warehouse or a filming space in order to pay the rent for. This is getting a copyright strike on YouTube that disables monetization is a big deal. This is essentially, like, of course, internet law, different, whatever, but this is essentially you going into your work. Let's say, for example, you worked at Asda, or the American equivalent, Walmart. You go in there one day, and you essentially, the moment you show up to work, you get a notice saying, you've been fired, you do not have any say about this, you are not even going to be told why you got fired, goodbye, and then they just kick you out. You could have a family to feed, you could have rent to pay, you could have, like, bills and all of this stuff, and YouTube would just take it away from you with no say, without any prior warning. This can just happen like that. I normally can't click. That actually clicked. I'm quite surprised. Not to have a hipster response or anything, but I've been doing all this YouTube stuff before it was cool for many people. I've not been there for quite as long as, say, the Nostalgia Critic, but I've been here quite a few years. I've been doing this for about 5 years, and I've been doing review content with clips, edited content, analytical, in-depth stuff with footage from movies and TV shows, and I've run into this issue more times than I can even count. And the reason for that is that YouTube don't have any actual people monitoring whether or not copyright infringement is happening on the platform. It's all done with bots. That kind of makes sense because hours and hours of footage is uploaded to YouTube every single second, so you can't just have like a couple of people just go through all of that content to find out if it's copyright infringement. That takes too many man hours and such. I mean, they probably could do it. YouTube literally make billions of dollars in profit every year, so they could hire literally just a warehouse of, say, 250 people to just go through it, or at least go through the contents that gets copyright infringed or gets content ID. That's definitely possible, but something tells me that YouTube just don't want to do it. They like the idea of being up on this pedestal. They like having a monopoly on the video media sharing circuit. They like having this huge audience with very few competitors. Like Vimeo, that's not really a viable option. Blip has gotten taken down. Blip is no longer a thing. Their Dailymotion, not exactly a great community. YouTube have a monopoly on having great content, as well as having great people support the platform, a very good video player, and the community that allows the comment sections to thrive. They have a monopoly on that, but as a result, YouTube has no competitor. They have no reason to improve. They're making so much money right now, they literally have no reason to do it other than the fact that it's the right thing to do. But of course, that's just not good enough for YouTube. So what happens with my content typically is that I get content ID strikes. This can be from the company itself, or worst case scenario, it's by a completely different third party with absolutely nothing to do with the content that is being claimed. For example, a few months ago, I had my found footage video, Why Are All Found Footage Horror Movies Terrible? And it was getting claimed by companies that are like an Indian news network, by like a Bangladesh YouTube channel that does like hidden camera stuff. It's like, you don't own one iota of footage. However, while I disputed the claim immediately, as I can do, it is my right, I am in the right. It's fair use content, I've edited, it's transformative, I'm literally in the right here. I have no I've got no problem here. This is not my fault. That company still earns the money, the ad revenue, while that video is being claimed, which means that once the 30-day period is up and I have naturally won the claim because I was in the right and they can't do it, they can't take me to court, I would win hands down. They get the money. They get the money that they falsely claimed. And it means there's no incentive for them to not do it. There's no consequence. There's no blowback. And I think this is at the heart of the issue. What needs to happen is one of two things, or preferably both. What needs to happen is, one, the money that is getting made through ad revenue while the claim is happening is put to one side. Neither party gets it until the issue is resolved, and once the issue has been resolved, the winning party gets the money. And the second thing that could help to resolve this is that the person doing the claiming, if they lose X amount of claims, if they lose X amount of fights, they lose the right to do it. They need to be punished for doing these false flags, and there's no negative incentive for it to happen. I think that incentive one it should be easy to do. I mean, you don't get paid for that money until like the end of the month anyway, so that money's not going anywhere. And there was a court case that happened a few months ago. Doug Walker mentioned it in his YouTube fiasco video part 2, where the judge ruled that in future cases, companies have to take fair use into account when claiming in the first place, and that's just not happening. And also, this was talked about by Jim fucking Sterling's son a few months ago. There was a YouTube fair use partnership program or something where he and maybe 2 or 3 other channels were deemed exceptions for these content ID strikes because they were getting ones that were clearly spurious, that were being done out of spite by certain companies. So these channels get certain protections, meaning that they can't just have their channels taken down or these videos unmonetized because of spurious and hateful backlashing content ID claims. And I think YouTube need to really roll out that system wide. And I've been doing review content for years. Like I said, I've been here for 5 years. I have won every single content ID claim that has gone my way because I'm legally in the right. I have won every single one. I have not been sued by any company. I have had to contact certain companies, but I'll get to that in a moment. I've won every single one. All of my content is above board. I have a 5-year track record. And I think channels like that should be made exempt. You have the track record. You're not just going to make 5 years of content and then reveal your grand plan that you were using this 5 years of build-up to upload Thor: The Dark World on YouTube and have it instantly get taken down or something. That's not going to happen. And if it does happen, then revoke those privileges. But for channels like me who specifically do review fair use content, you need some system to protect us, to protect I Hate Everything, to protect Channel Awesome, to protect Sam's channel, to protect these companies, these YouTubers. You got to give them some protection. It should be absolutely a no-brainer, but this is not happening. And the reason I mentioned earlier about contacting companies is because a while ago, my review of Sherlock, I think it was The Blind Banker, got taken down from YouTube. The reason for that was because a company called Orchid Music, or Orchid Tunes, something, I can't remember, that company put a claim on the video because I used the Sherlock theme, and for some reason, they own the distribution rights to the Sherlock theme or something. And okay, so I contacted them by email. I said, this is not a correct claim. Can you please revoke it? I'd greatly appreciate it. And I also filed a counterclaim so I could hopefully win. And then 2 days later, I was given the option to claim again. the content ID claim had not gone through, so I did it again, signed all of my details, did all this, explained why I was in the right, and then 2 days later it was gone, it was done, and I emailed the company and they weren't replying, so I contacted my network Freedom and I explained the situation, saying that it's not happening, why, and they contacted the company, no answer, they tried ringing them, no answer on the phone. The guy who I even spoke to on Freedom was like, the company's in a different time zone, but we'll stay up and we'll ring them. And they did, and they didn't answer the phone. Nobody at Orchid Music was answering the phone. And I couldn't dispute the claim. What I learned shortly afterwards is that YouTube have certain deals with music companies saying that even if you get, if you content ID someone, even if they respond and try to dispute it, we have a contractual obligation to ignore it. Even if you are in the wrong, even if the music company does a spurious, illegitimate takedown, YouTube is contractually obligated to ignore it. Even if they are wrong, YouTube will not do a damn thing, and that is fucking scary. That's, like, maybe it's not just music companies. What if it's another company? What if you cannot dispute a claim? The only reason that I was able to fight that claim in the end was because I went to Facebook, on my Facebook page, Mr. Tyler's Reviews. It was a last resort type of thing, but I basically gave them a tweet that they could copy and paste and put in their thing saying, please remove your illegitimate takedown of this video, and I gave them the video ID code. It's like a 10-digit code that each video is assigned, and I got hundreds of people to tweet Orchid Music for about 2 days before they relented, and you know what? They didn't even fucking apologize. They didn't apologize, they didn't contact me, they said nothing, they just took down the claim after 2 days of constant tweets. The fact that it had to get to that level, if it wasn't for the fact that I had an audience, a committed audience who knew I was wrong, respected that, and took time out of their days to do that, if I didn't have that audience, it wouldn't have happened. Nothing would have changed. And that is I can't even quantify it. I've been reviewing content for years, and I like to do it above board. I like to have that permission, even though I don't need it, I like to have it. So I've contacted companies like the BBC, ITV, Disney, Universal, although Universal have claimed my review of Everest, so that's gone out the window, and companies like Paramount and such. Paramount are finicky, but they relented, and I have written permission to review the content. As long as it's fair use, as long as it's fine, it's not infringement, then that contract is not being breached, my permission is not being revoked or whatever. As long as I do what I've basically been doing for 5 years, it's all fine. I have permission. I can show YouTube this permission and they don't care. I show them for the copyright permission that I have from the BBC, whatever, they'll content ID claim my BBC reviews anyway. I can show them the fact that I was invited to a press screening of Pan, that I was invited to a press screening of The Gallows, that Warner Brothers sent me there. They sent me to London to review the movie, to watch it early. They gave me blanket permission to review those films, and I can still get content ID'd anyway because YouTube doesn't care. You can literally do what YouTube tells you to do. Get permission from the content owner or whatever before you upload the content. You can do that and they still won't do jack. And also recently, I've not said this on Facebook, Twitter, or online or anything, or on YouTube. I've not said this, but I figured now is a good time to say anyway. The BBC have been very, very frustrating over the past few months. For years, 4 or 5 years, they've been absolutely fine. They support my content. I frequently get emails from the BBC saying, we love the work you're doing, keep up the great work, we enjoy your content here in the office, we love it, it's great, really insightful stuff, and we appreciate the fact that fans are being as committed as you are and taking a hard look at the content that we work hard on. I get letters like that, I get emails, I get all that stuff, it's great and I love it. But recently, BBC have done something weird with their policies. All of my Doctor Who reviews have been content ID claimed, with the exception of the reactions, which don't use any footage, just a still image. All of these have been claimed. I'm making no money from my Mr. Tyler's Reviews channel because the BBC have done a new policy where they essentially will claim every single piece of Doctor Who footage on the internet. They'll claim it and they won't monetize it. They just want to keep track of it. They want to know what is happening on YouTube. They told me through email that they just want to take a look at what is happening with their content on YouTube, what is being uploaded. They want to monitor it. They want to track it. They don't want to make any money off it. They're not getting the advertising revenue, they're just tracking it. But as a result, it's being content ID claimed, and I'm not making any money from my Doctor Who content. I will dispute the claims, but the BBC will just let them run out after 30 days, and they'll do it again. And that is... I'm trying to go about this the right way, because like I said even at the beginning of this video, I've done work for the BBC before. I've worked on their TV shows in studios, I've worked on their TV shows on location. I'm not an active contracted employee, but I work freelance. I work freelance on TV and film and such, so I've done work with the BBC before. But I've got to say, BBC, as somebody who's been doing this content for 5 years and knows my legal right, I know the copyright system in and out because I've had to learn it by necessity, but the BBC, you can't. Okay, you can do it legally, it's your right, you can do it, but it's not right. I mean, I put hours of effort into those Doctor Who videos that you yourself, maybe not you as an entity, but your employees, the people making the content, have praised me for. I'm putting time and effort and resources into making these videos to try and praise or be constructive about your show, and I'm not getting any money from the end of it. It's one reason Doctor Who content has been slow for over the past few months, because I have no incentive to make it anymore. When I first started, I was a student. I was just about to go for university. I didn't have bills to pay. I didn't have a mouth or mouths to feed. I didn't have insurance to do. I didn't have to pay for broadband. I didn't have to pay rent and such. That's different now. Unfortunately, I've had to grow up. I hate being a grown-up. I hate having to be in the real world. But I'm hardly making any money off my Doctor Who content anymore because the BBC have done this stupid policy. You say I'm okay with the email that I had recently with the BBC say, yeah, we're fine with you doing it. You just can't make money off of it. And BBC, you do not have the right to dictate whether or not people talking about your show can make money off of it or not. It's fair use. You don't decide that. It's not your right. And I'm saying this as somebody who's worked for you in the past, who literally just finished a job working for you, the BBC, who tries to be positive about your show when it's positive, who's going to be constructive, never wholly and unjustly negative. Sure, if you disagree with me, but I back up all of my points. I'm going to be positive or negative as I deem fit, but never out of spite, always constructively and with educated analysis. You don't dictate whether or not I can make money off of that. That is not your choice. You don't choose that. And what's interesting is that my Doctor Who reviews and such always get Content ID claimed and everything, and sometimes they get blocked and everything, which is frustrating. But then you go on YouTube and you see these reaction channels, which are wholly dedicated to stealing people's content and making money off of it. They steal the content, they silently watch it for 20 minutes. I once saw somebody react to Doctor Who Heaven Sent, the full 45-minute episode, uninterrupted. They were silent throughout 99% of the video. That video had adverts at the beginning of it, so maybe that guy was making money off of it, but my review of maybe that episode or previous Doctor Who episodes, which is edited, fair use, transformative, all legally above board, and with the BBC's approval, no, that can get taken down. It's such a stupid system, and reaction channels, they make a lot of money even though they're breaking YouTube's terms and conditions, and they're literally committing piracy. It's such a broken system. It's a broken system that's ripe for abuse, ripe for exploitation, punishes those or doesn't acknowledge those that does things above board like myself. And it's not just the fact that when you get copyright strike you sometimes lose money, but when you get copyright striked or you get content ID'd, that video gets spread around much less in YouTube's inner workings, in their analytics. Your videos won't appear in sidebars or suggested videos. That it actively stunts the growth of movie reviewers. It actively stunts the growth of those who do transformative parodies or edits or remixes, and so it actively creates an incentive for you to not do that, even though it's legally fine and creatively and morally right. And the thing is that these things can be so easily fixed. These things can be so easily addressed by Google and YouTube. And I've spoken to these big companies who have the contact details of, like, for example, if I get a content ID from a movie review or something that I have express permission to, while I'm disputing the claim, I'll email the company and say, hey, can you get this sorted? And they say, we can't do anything, it's YouTube, we'll contact them. and say Universal, a huge worldwide multimedia company who gets millions of views on YouTube through their channel, who literally is part of one of the biggest companies in the world. Universal is a Comcast company, I believe. It's a huge corporation. They email YouTube, they don't hear a damn thing. YouTube doesn't respond. YouTube doesn't acknowledge one of the biggest multimedia companies in the world, which means that Universal can't do anything, even though they've given me permission to do this content. And the fact that YouTube won't even listen to them to try and get things... Of course, like, you get big channels like Channel Awesome or I Hate Everything and such who are able to do this by creating a stink. Sometimes that won't work. If Universal can't do anything, what hope is there for the little guy, for the everyday content creator, for somebody who is trying to make an honest living, who has bills to pay, who has rent to do? Where is the hope? And this can be easily fixed, but YouTube, the fact that they won't remain vigilant, the fact that they won't try and protect their content creators who make them the money, the fact that they won't do it, it's not the fact that they can't do it, it's the fact that they won't do it. And that is probably what pisses me off most of all. So YouTube, fix it. Expand that fair use partnership program. Extend it to those who have a proven track record, who have blanket permission from the companies who your automatic system is claiming to represent, even though they do it without their permission. And the fact that companies can claim monetization on videos with no repercussions, in fact that it does nothing but benefit them. There's no consequences. The fact that that little channels are unable to expand because of this. YouTube, fix it. I've been part of this community for 5 years, but this is hope. I'm doing this video in response to, like, I Hate Everything and Channel Awesome and Chibi Reviews and such, who have just been screwed over by this system that you know full well is broken but are choosing not to fix. So let's make a noise. Let's talk about it. Share this video around. Share it. Like, let people like I Hate Everything, Chibi Reviews, and Channel Awesome know that this is not just happening to them. We need to speak up. If you've been affected, post in the comment section below. Better yet, make a video about it. Make a stink. Make a noise. Because that seems to be the only thing that YouTube's like currently listening to. And it might not even respond, but something tells me it's listening. And YouTube, fix it.